Hello, my name is Anthony Wall. I agree to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God. So help me the identity of the body forever. About a week ago, an officer called, only said his name was Sullivan, didn't give the whole name, from town offices. About a year ago, maybe more, an inspector Mike called from there, didn't give his whole name. Now these are people from the town offices, Weathersfield Police Department and Weathersfield Interbranch, also on off the State Judicial Branch offices. Also with a Fazina family, I don't know their names. I think one of them is named Enzo, but that's not the same as the mayor of Cromwell, but that might be a relative of his. He recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, confirmed online. Roles with investigators, investigations, and vetting identities, like named a Dillon family, and others involved on off the State Judicial Branch offices, in the road next to it, and the route next to it, Route 3. And these are also people on off two-route highway through time, with a whole bunch of people involved with interbranch predicate acts and methods of them. So I've been asking to make a police report because Hartford courts and New Britain courts were involved with West Hartford and Hartford and New Britain and Middletown criminally leading up to the World Trade Center attack, with former director of the F.B.I. in his defendant capacities, with their roles with his lawyer and his co-defendants and their family members that are involved with interbranch from my town that I never had a conversation with. If they tried to pretend other, it was where they were saying things to me, like, in other words, making confessions, making loaded statements, which is also confess, because they know in other words, they know who you're not going to know. They're pretending things behind people's backs so they can't counter. And they're criminally preventing writing. These are people involved with a child campus of mine through time. They're now, so they keep extending into other natures of organized crime with the Weathersfield Police federal crimes. But these are simultaneously their crimes and crime methods recorded where they have grouped also the branches of government, the judicial branches, on and off the State Judicial Branch offices too. Various natures of courts leading up to the World Trade Center and since involved with investigators vetting identities, and they have physical delusions. So it's relevant how they have these crimes, these federal rules crimes, and these wire crime methods roles, and mail crime method roles. A whole bunch of police about 2 years ago came to my house and said there's a Brendan Leahy is really mad. There's two Brendan Leahys involved faking conversations with me. And a whole bunch of people tied to them did that since I was a little kid. These people also, I caught them with child offenders on the child offender registry since before they got caught. These are interbranch drug cliques. These are roles with what they call intelligence community. In the collusion with the same nations they counter. In collusion with news predicate acts. Identity theft, attach me to fake words, to fake ties to other people. They say soup because then they have the lawyers originally still involved with them with crime methods that we have to tell on to be able to tell American history. They're trying to start fights with people every single place we go with the same groups, tied to what they did with the little kids, telling lies to them criminally, sickly. Well, like what they did with the principal child offenders campus. They're involved with other natures of organized crime and uses of the types of experts. Again, delusions wrought, also private with the interbranch. So it's very important that we have them follow mandated law now. And we have to have a response from the Weathersfield Police and writing regarding their confessions each year for years now. And with their roles with this intercities preventing me and others from telling on what was actually recorded, interbranch criminal uses of all locations to hide their criminal foreign influence uses of them already. They've been fabricating audio and video in cases against citizens. The prisons tied to them, their leaderships, their family members, their neighbors, they are recorded also how having been kept criminally foreign influenced. And rolls with the families on the child offender registry. Further involved with whatever they're ducking behind with the Wethersfield town offices, with other nations, like Afghanistan and stuff like that. I don't know what they're confessing. They make confessions from people from my school because they want to pretend now I'm an adult that they knew me then. I don't know them. And I had no responses to those people. All exceptions in section nature were recorded other than they can afford to pretend now. These people used to pass. There's people tied to a former Mayor Gold. He was pretending passions and emotions with people stealing people's identities with his daughter and son, and with Joe Aiello, involved with them with the judicial branch and the executive branch also, individually grouped and together, distinct crime methods, distinct crime motivations, criminally foreign influenced premises treatments, and with physical delusions in their sequence shifts are also non-distinctly discernible. But we have to have mandated law followed. We have them lying, putting fake transcripts about what is actually recorded over phones. And what is actually recorded over mail. All exception in section nature, they use those locations to prevent logic, its short words and its long words with integrity. They've been using the right to lie for way worse than just election crimes. This is the Constitution bridge and that's screened by that which was entrenched here, that they made per breaching methods, self-valued styles of roles pretending other. So Wethersfield, Connecticut is also involved with slavery. North and South was distinctly involved with slavery. Per this method, this predicate acts delivery system method that needed us to perpetually not discern how sickly non-distinctly, while self-valuing styles of fact-treatment nature that cannot afford the integrity of the science and of the free speech with truth actual, with integrity actual. On paper, for jobs, it is critical that you listen to doctors, you listen to types of experts. Where that's being exploited, see, we have to counter the judicial branches or crime methods individually, but also grouped because there are real sick interbranch here. As victims, as victim predators. They cannot defend how they already reacted to it, blaming on other things, others themselves, then hiding that and from correlation nature. Our founding parents, their identities are stolen by the people pretending to care about them. With physical delusions, again, with criminally foreign influence premises treatment, sequence treatments. So we need free speech. They're offensively preventing us free speech. Wethersfield Police Department has dozens of officers and their family members involved with crimes with federal criminals, killers, a serial killer, the body dumping spots, as the same people involved with the pattern of predicate acts roles, wrongdoing roles, sequence shift roles, since before the World Trade Center. I caught them outside of courts, involved with on-off campuses organized crime. And I understood it because there was confessions to me, like when I was in 6th grade one time, for people I don't know. Maybe, just because someone's in their class doesn't mean they know them. And we had people that were in the same class, in other words, that weren't in our class. We had the same teacher all year. We had other people that are our same class grade, but different things. You never see them. That's involved with sequence shift. They made people's self-value and exploited that. Now, so this Leahy family is involved with confessions out of sequence, but a whole bunch of people tied to interbranch family members involved with the same house/S on my street. There's also a Bob Chase who confessed and recorded that a Phil Cololo is involved with them, with falsified police reports, wire crimes, identity thefts, frauds. Now he pretending other, but he didn't follow the rules. He also has physical delusions. Also with foreign and domestic medical families involved with this family that he's an extended family member of. Now there's a Sullivan who's a male, young, sound like a young punk kid, involved with the predicate acts of the Wethersfield Police Department. It was also involved at that time with as group methods. These are fact-cheating nature or male wire crime roles, fabricating audio and video in cases already. Way worse. How they were made victim predators is not to give up, but this is why forgiveness is for. Because there is also what is maintaining that the outcome. So it is necessary to get them from the names forging, switching, and misspelling, and things like that. And so there was also, if you heard about this, it's a federal crime to hide and plot more. Mayor Fienza with Cromwell Police Department. Wethersfield Police Department recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, threatening me not to come in and make a police department in person, simultaneously recording themselves pretending other afterwards. They already been attaching me and others to fake communications with their officers on the police department and never were. Never had a conversation in life with a Mendez police brother. So I went to get a police report. He's also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated he's one of the ones involved with Bob Chase, with predicate acts with a roles with a Phil Cololo. Now I don't know which Cololos, the officer Sullivan, who was not a female, was not a female's voice. But there are also Sullivans recorded, confessed, and demonstrated associated with Park Street location, Alina's Pizza. And there's like a tiki bar or something. And a Daryl Sullivan, who's involved with a whole bunch of girls and their roommates. Involved with his wife and his wife's past boyfriends. Involved with various natures of police forms. On and off the branch, not just executive branch, but former director of the F.B.I. and his defendant capacities. And his lawyer, Robert Chebury. And their co-defendants like John LeConte and Thaddeus Grabowski, right before the 2006 case with defendant, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin. He was also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the Mendez and a Domain family, with interbranch and with predicate acts roles with databases against me, identity theft frauds, especially regarding their roles with police, with their family, and interbranch. These are grouped methods that are also recorded. The evidence is here. So we have to get them onto paper and to pick one name in sequence and one spelling. Wethersfield. And please have some civility, we're dealing with child offenders, and you guys are hiding and plotting. We have male and female retired and standing mayors. They bring their kids into this because they need to pretend passions and emotions because they are already involved with only 3 branches of government. They have crime methods, though, to each branch distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously that can't afford logic that is with integrity proper. So they pretend to be a integrity offensively, how facilitated to that, because each identity of the ground location is used remotely. Each identity of each branch of government individually grouped and together, they were and are used remotely. That's why and how they have not found means to afford out of a system that is recorded criminally foreign influenced involved with the extortion of people unequally. Not on color. That's part of it. But it's not a comparative thing. But we have not one leader with the integrity to explain with correlation has by and as its simultaneously inherent active and progressive means with sequence true and with identity theft, fraud, and worse than war crimes method explained how that was entrenched north and south, how and why George Washington had to secure the help of the French general right here in Wethersfield, Connecticut, between New York and Boston, right before the last battle of the physical battle of the Revolutionary War, only against England, which had this breaching method entrenched below it since before its founding leaders were born, before its founding parents were born. All locations, areas, and states were criminally foreign influenced, specifically to maintain them self-defenses of, reliant upon, criminally foreign influence premises treatments, sequence treatments, identity of the sciences share treatments that cannot defend that and afford free speech. So more and more it had to value its roles with the breaching method to all locations, areas, and states. That maintains, originally and still, each individual grouped together, or each branch of government need to hide live progressions, needing to hide their actually recorded nature in relationship to their positive and negative treatments, individually grouped together as criminalization natures, as with delusions wrought, and offensively predators. So they're doing everything. They're using these wire crime methods of the Wethersfield police through time. That when I was a kid, there were 2 mobile gas stations, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the corner of Town Line Drive, and with a Cross Automotive, and with Wethersfield Interbranch family members. In other words, I went there, they confirmed this. It's also rolls with UPS. See, then they may say, oh, that's against us personally. But it's from off those locations. See, they're starting fights with people. So then when I called the Wethersfield police, they said the guy said they only have a female officer, and they rush people off. And these are people involved with forging names, switching names, wire crimes and then they have people go to your house so they can make up more. They stack more names because they know then you have to say more things. The whole time they're pretending they don't understand people. They're pretending we don't speak clear. The whole time they've been fabricating us to fake conversations with people. Since I was a kid, they've been attaching me to fake locations, fake ties to other people. They have something tied to their roles with the Marines and with the military, with the program in this town too, like a on off both media spots. WFSB Rocky Hill, all along Route 3 goes by the state judicial branch offices. And so now this is foreign domestic. We're supposed to be bonded, individually grouped and together species bonded. They have us bonded tactically ulterior from how we're supposed to be bonded. There's a Peruta involved with our judicial branch and executive branch, and lawyers with crime methods, with sequence shifts roles, readings of statutes. Then their roles with YouTube. Nothing personal. They have to pretend such is personal. They can't follow mandated law. These are the people further then and now with the Principal Child Offenders Campus. Now they're using coronavirus. So they also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated that they have they confirmed roles with a Scalora family. Also with the predicate acts of the judicial branch and of the executive branch. And roles with them with fabricated, with identity thefts and frauds, attaching people to fake locations, fake ties to themselves, fake ties to the nature of the ties to themselves, and then other people. No, I don't know those people at all, except for them roles pretending others so someone can film that, because they're in roles with interbranch with this method that is with child offenders. and how they're ducking behind whatever is involved with them, with the Afghanistan, with the town library and the school next to it. Also with the foreign and domestic involved with like psychology, and as the people involved with medical, nurses cliques, drug cliques. And these were the interbranch. They even used the types of the qualities of the drugs, like marijuana and stuff like that. And their roles with dangerous things. The same people that are supposed to be against that stuff. So we have to counter the various natures of courts criminally involved with those doctors and their crime methods, saying things into records to pretend things are recorded out of sequence. Further investing themselves, needing to pretend they didn't realize sequence. Not by accident, they're all tied to the interbranch. They are recorded and involved with them with vertical and horizontal predicate accents there through people's lifetimes. It's not just the further sexual, medical, and interbranch experts' roles with the child offenders, and with these games, with the phones and with the databases, with the campuses and the sequence and the names forging and switching, attaching people to fake locations. There's also a girl, I don't know, she used to come up to me 2 times before I had science class with them, having a conversation with the sexual circle. That's Dubbit World Trade Center and Washington, D.C. time. They're not just chasing jobs legitimately. These are people involved with overt criminal enterprises, and with the lie progression, use of the branches remotely. There are various natures of courts involved with real estate companies associated with a Park Street Lena's Pizza. And my new and past neighbors have roles with this Dillon family. Further involved with these Mendez police, with predicate acts on off the Weathersfield Police Department, attached me to fake conversation with the older one. And with his recorded, confessed, and demonstrated roles with investigators, and vetting identities, and his family on and off the New Britain Superior Court. Now these are also people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with predicate acts with the federal criminals proven after I got out of high school. The same ones that were defendants of former director in the 2006 part of the case, /S, that was ongoing at the time of the plaintiff's death. But they were leading up to that case, and since with more predicate acts roles against Connecticut and against the citizens of the United States further, through our own, in this way that exploits how the counters to here and there to things as fact-cheaping nature. They have entertained what is manifest Washington, D.C., World Trade Center, inter-campuses of each age and nature, criminally foreign influence, and delusions wrought. So this is a request for help from the wire crime methods and the mail crime methods, and the interbranch fabricating audio and video, and sequence shifts and names forging and switching. How they have crime methods with lawyers. And multi-front, they did this. They attached me and my family to fake locations, fake words, fake ties to the people, fake natures of ties to other people. WFSB has crimes with the plaintiffs, federal criminals, and the ones that these were passion. There were people they got caught for doing like pension thefts and stuff like that. Rules with overt criminal enterprises. Screaming about how they sell drugs, like recorded and stuff like that, on and off job sites. Same people do that on and off the campuses. Rules, that's how they have this Dillon family, and they have these Mendez police. I don't know if he's associated with these are also people with the DeMoro family and a Kerr family. Are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated also with these people all the way from Church Street. Then right around the corner from that is where George Washington had to meet with the French general at the Webb House. Then they changed it to the Webb Stevens House. It was first Webb House, which is relevant evidence. See, we have that criminal insidiousness nature that was forced to represent America after the Revolutionary War was incapable, wasn't supposed to be capable yet of digging up that entrenched slavery method that stayed entrenched in the North and the South. So our founders had to attack slavery the way they knew they would have to, as fact-cheaping nature styles, as counter-natives, incapable of defending that and of affording the quality of fact-cheaping nature necessary to counter that method of predicate acts delivery system method that had roles, motivations, natures, needs, interests, styles of lying, pretending other, all bound by its. All it's only discernible through that. Forgiveness is so we can explain that. See, we have fake passions and emotions interbranch in collusion with hundreds of nations at once, only defending opinions dishonestly. Because their wire crime methods, their roles fabricating audio and video, their roles self-valued, criminally foreign influence precedents, statutes, readings of them. The sequence shifts reveal. So they've been preventing me and others since before the World Trade Center attack from reporting things. Because I caught the judges in the courts and the prosecutors, the state's attorneys, their programs, they have a Chris Walters. What is actually recorded is him consciously recorded because he was influenced to invite me to his wedding. Because I barely know him. I only know him from when he was a little kid. Roles with the police, attaching me and other people to fake locations, fake ties to each other, fake natures of ties to each other, fake sequence relationships to each other. Now this is through time, intra-campuses, and has not stopped. They just keep stacking more names and roles. That's a crime method. That's why I'm saying the branches individually grouped together, they've been pretending other. They want to pretend that my interactions with them were legitimate by them when they know the sequence shifts reveal they were not. How they were criminally putting themselves in other people's business. So because their roles with investigations, investigators, vetting identities, private and everything, interbranch, intersciences, interdatabase relationships, overt criminal enterprises, the witness protection program stewards, also involved with the predicate acts narratives on my street. What they have to pretend they don't realize that. They've been pretending the right to lie. They've been pretending Congress has the integrity. See, they have been rules with the prevention of mandated law to speak for when and how the surface values of the Constitution are forbid. They have self-value. Needs to sacrifice people to go to war, for example, because they can't afford quality of fact-cheaping nature that's capable, that is going to speak for evolution. That's defense of, what those people fought for is a perfect world defended. What reveals evolution's fruits and gifts, means from nowhere. So we have had the wrong leaders. We have the wrong opinion natures below them, because everyone came through these campuses. So we don't blame those things, but then that's where the opinions, that's the nature of communications, because we have a breaching method to the maintenance of that outcome/S. So I tell it best. They need fights with people. They need to perceive things. They need to pretend to perceive things, because they've been preventing mandated law. I've been asking you for a long time to respond for them. They've been sequence shifting, fabricating audio and video, interbranch, and to hide their locations crimes. I caught them with predicate acts roles with various natures of cases, and the same people were involved with sequence shifts and other natures of organized crime, proven but also further associated with the people that were in the Ninth Circuit Court, right next to the World Trade Center, right before it got hit. And their involvements with sequence shifts inside their case. They were post-dated. There were documents post-dated from inside the court to appear late to the panel of judges. Then we came home and found out that the World Trade Center towers were hit by planes and taken out. Saw like everyone else, shock and awe. Then they made us with the counters used remotely. Before they were sophistication, this was sophistication here and there. This is worse than just intonation. This is an archetypal organized crime method. That's what's actually recorded, most plausible, most practical. See, we have to follow mandated law. It just so happens they caught themselves. The Wethersfield police, they put a lot of people in jail. Wethersfield interbranch. The other nations, hundreds of them at once, here and there. So, they also have words said in communications used criminally. That's important too, because it starts with their child attaching people to fake ties to other people from their grammar school that they never had conversations with. And they've been stacking predicate acts in databases and on and off campuses, making them, so they can keep criminally foreign influenced. There's also, so I don't know what it is, on and off Fox Connecticut News. And there's a Thaddeus Grabowski, one of the co-defendants, a former director of the F.B.I, Robert Luskin. And there's a Mendez family, a Mendez police family, that is involved with predicate acts with Fox Connecticut News, and on and off the Wethersfield Police Department, and on and off New Britain Superior Court. And with prosecutors vetting identities, they have crime methods recorded where they pretend to perceive things they set it up to because the sequence shift rolls. Their roles with predicate acts on and off their locations are recorded, and they know that. They also switch names and forge names. So we have to get all these officers' names. They stack too many names. They've been using, they recorded, confessed, demonstrated. They're either, they know that they stack too many names while they're forging and switching names at the same time of strangers that come to my house and make confessions that make no sense. So this whole family, male and female, and a Leahy family, is involved with a whole bunch of natures of predicate acts and fake conversations with me since I was a kid, with judges, with prosecutors, with other doctors, foreign and domestic. Their roles with untimely deaths cliques that had that used by them for other natures of organized crime roles. Now this is also, that's what happens when you have dirty interbranch telling people, having to react when people like me are now with the phenomenon of things like YouTube and Facebook be able to tell on such. So they discredit it. So they blocked my ability to post, and they made fake Facebook pages pretending to be me, people tied to me for years. The same thing, fake YouTube pages. Now these are the same people interbranch that were with this pretending passions and emotions against people being criminals and stuff, and they were involved with those criminals. But and those were people from classes. I didn't even have classes with them. I had nothing to do with them. And me and private school kids, they involved with them with this narrative, and so they do it everywhere you go because they have the systems. Criminally foreign influence, delusions, wrought. There's no voting. Wethersfield town office is involved with interbranch, intercities, worse than just interstates and internations, worse than just internations. But it's also intercities, lie progression cover-ups. It's also how they have houses on corners involved. Both corners of High Crest School. There's an O'Brien family. Recorded, confessed, to demonstrate involved with predicate acts on and off the campuses I went to with those people. I never had a class with him in my life, Tim O'Brien, and nor his brother. He was in my same age and grade, but with a different teacher. There's a Mr. Johnson. Also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, communicated that he brought up his opinion that anti-disestablishmentarianism is the longest word. Regardless if it is or not, because I mean you could make it longer. I don't know if they're like, but there's still in other words. That had something to do with the confessions that were made by the O'Brien family when I was a kid. There's a man I don't know with the name O'Brien confessed by one of the people involved with them, with a principal child offender, and with the people with his prison and his doctors were already recorded and involved with predicate acts with the kids, and with the courts, various natures of courts, and their family members. Now these are also the people with the news media, WFSB and Fox Connecticut News. They're involved with the Domain family and with Mendez family, with predicate acts, identity theft, frauds, falsified police reports, wire crimes, mail crimes, with my town's police chief 1 year ago. Of former director of the F.B.I.'s co-defendants, and various other natures of federal criminals also associated with them. On and off Fox Connecticut News with the two Mendez police in the Domain. Through administrations used remotely. That's what's actually recorded. I've been asking you in straight line since before the World Trade Center attack. I've been asking other people. They've been even attaching me to fake conversations, or they won't respond. And they forge your names, switch your names. The people that won't let me tell what I caught the interbranch doing with the locations leading up to the World Trade Center. Then I found out more about it after the World Trade Center. I don't know who the guy is. I know it's not. So there's a guy named Hunter. But that is associated with one of the people with predicate acts roles on and off Central Connecticut State University as a student. Also involved with sequence shifts and with predicate acts with roles with people on Covington Street and other locations around Central Connecticut State University and on locations next to Trinity College. They have policing programs. They have fire departments. There's a guy I never met. He used to use the name Brian Savo. I never met him. I only saw his picture. But then they have his picture from the internet, but then he's got a different name from the yearbook. But then he's got a different name on Facebook. But he's recorded, confessed, demonstrated, also a victim. But recorded, there's how they keep victim predators. Roles with identity thefts. Roles with his identity was stolen purposely or not. Because these are people with undercover. They have to pretend to be different people and stuff like that. That are involved with actual identity theft, frauds, and wire crime methods, fabricated audio and video to hide remote uses of interbranch locations, of campuses, of sciences, and to hide uses of the human fact-sheet nature. Styles all incapable of defending themselves, their convictions, their opinions, their quality of premises treatments, of sequence treatments, of identity treatments, and of us at the same time. Not by accident. I just remind. So this is World Trade Center from Wethersfield, Connecticut, interbranch, intercities through time. What is actually recorded. So I don't know all the names. I heard it was a Daryl Sullivan, and his wife switched names with another Maggie, who was her roommate, who was involved with another roommate, also with one of the police officers is involved with sexual abuses of the women of different ages, as ones who has roles with the sexual and medical crime groups and judicial crime method groups and private prosecutors, state's attorneys, crime method groups roles with the people on the child sex offender registry, which I also noted. They're also putting a fake child member registry map with those people, with the cliques that are associated with that, pretending I'm on the child sex offender registry. They also, with the principal child offenders campus, they wouldn't told the confessions that were recorded and confessed and demonstrated and threatened to me and others. These are the same ones that were hiding what I caught them doing intercities from other cities before the World Trade Center. They've been hiding it per what they've been using all their roles with the conjunctions between Stop and Shops in the school resource officers also, with that pattern of on off the news media that fabricates audio and video with the interbranch, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously from themselves. And as themselves distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously from the other branch of the government, recorded distinct crime methods, non-distinct like sequence shifts, forging names, switching names, roles. Uses of time. Oh, I don't understand what you're talking about. Pick one name in sequence for the Officer Sullivan, and what he's talking about. Not to use a Cololo name anymore. They brought this name up. They have a Bob Chase, who recorded, confessed, and demonstrated has rules, crimes, roles, falsified police report rules, false imprisonment rules, with the people as crime acts roles, and illusions roles, with them things they made up, and with delusions they have too. With that our evidence is, with that forced the principal child offender not told on with the rest of them. So, need a response for them stacking names and roles with vertical and horizontal database organized crime method. That's a horizontal, like for example, then in other words, they can't follow their job now. They're incapable of following their duties. They have to pretend see no evil, hear no evil. They have intercities recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. Roles with all kinds of natures of child abuses, even with their own kids. In the interbranch. So, follow me. We have the military too, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, involved, whatever. In other words, there is something between the campuses in downtown Hartford. And I never had anything to do with the Chet Casper or the people associated with Two-Route Highway that are the ones also on off the state judicial branch offices all along Route 3, involved with identity theft frauds, sequence shifts, confessions. That's how I realized that. With the interbranch, with their narratives, making things up, with all these fake people. So let's get the full name of this Officer Sullivan, and let's get something done about this Phil Cololo, who's from, and the others like these Mendez police with the predicate acts with him interbranch. Let's go. Get them on paper, and the judges and the prosecutors and the state's attorneys to apologize to the parents for their forging names, switching names, and for their sick roles with the rumors through the kids. That what is actually recorded, we're going to show how they knew that they're faking passions and emotions. They did it when I was a kid, before the federal criminals were caught, and they're still pretending that they didn't realize that, as strangers I never had anything to do with, as ones with the people, with the people. Like if I say I don't know them, they're using that she walked up like some girl, I don't know her name, woman. They was when a little girl, like before I would go into a science class at the beginning of the semester. And then they were spreading illusion. They were covering a lie progression that though dates back to the confessions with the interbranch, tied to the interbranch when I was in grammar school. So I learned more about it in middle school, which is only 2 years. It's in the same how they have to keep lie progressions. This simultaneously prevented me and other people, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously, from demonstrating how our branches are maintained criminally foreign influenced. How they're maintained delusions raw. Nothing they do is the way they say they do it, and why they. Well, that's the way we like it. You're criminally foreign influenced. You're breaching screens. So someone speak. I don't even know who the mayor is. I don't have time. There are more. There are more names that they use in one day for their crime methods than there are hours in a day. That's a lot of impositions when not one person will respond. And let's get this. Let's get a restraining order against this Leahy family for pretending conversations with me, and for that as federal crime, as World Trade Center predicate acts, and roles with you in collusion with fake sides with the Saudi attackers, those sick ones associated with the psychology too. They can't. In other words, they're keeping their religions. These are the same ones on and off religious locations. A Kerr family. A Kalvinskis family recorded, confessed, and demonstrated on and off campuses, on and off parks, on and off religious locations, roles with predicate acts, identity thefts, frauds, falsified police reports, child abuses roles. But focus on the identity thefts and frauds, and worse than war crimes, because that's what we're going to focus on what slavery is. They're not going to teach you about it. They're also intercultural, keeping, representatives. We'll see how sickly incompetent every modern nation's legal identities are maintained such.